I'm gonna teach you how to train the Olympic lifts without a barbell or bumper plates, and we're gonna start right now. What's up everybody, it's Dane Miller from GarageStrength.com, and if this is your first time to the channel and you're interested in becoming a more explosive athlete, you wanna learn how to do the Olympic lifts, but you don't have access to a barbell or plates, make sure that you like, you subscribe, and you ring that notification bell so we can help you learn those secret tricks. So we get emails all the time around sports performance, right? We get emails around how can we become better football players, soccer players, baseball players, basketball players, all of these different questions that end up coming back to, well, I don't know if we can do the Olympic lifts. I don't know if we have access to bumper plates. I don't know if we have access to nice barbells. And these questions are consistent because it's difficult to have a platform, a concrete floor, bumper plates that tend to be expensive, nice bars that you can utilize, that you can do snatches and drop the weight. It can be very pricey, but there's ways around that. If you are at home, you're stuck at home with training, or maybe you're at a Globo gym that doesn't have a platform, there's a lot of different ways that you can still train like an Olympic weightlifter. You can still train through those different means of acceleration using overload and still reap those positive benefits behind the Olympic lifts. And I think that's one of those key factors too. We've got to discuss what's the whole point of Olympic lifting? Why do we do that for sports performance? Isn't it just a sport? Well, we've got to think about, okay, if we can learn how to have hip extension and we can learn how to coordinate our hamstrings into that strong hip extension, if we can have an upper body that's extremely fast and learns how to shrug and contract very, very rapidly, have a very rapid muscular action, if we can learn how to coordinate and absorb force properly, these are all big benefits behind the Olympic lifts. Okay, so how can we do that? One of the first key exercises behind training the Olympic lifts without a bumper plate or a barbell setup is to utilize the dumbbell snatch. The dumbbell snatch is one of those movements that can really help teach the athlete how to be explosive from the ground up. Okay, so you're gonna grab a dumbbell, you're gonna hang it in between your legs, and you wanna think about driving through your full foot, having this long pull, exploding as rapidly as possible, and then dropping under into the catch. And when you drop under into the catch, now your shoulder has a co-contraction. So your shoulder is going to be a little bit more stable. Then you have to relower it, and you can use that stretch shortening cycle to trigger that next position in the dumbbell snatch. And you want to do both sides, 3 to 4 reps on each side. So you can go a little bit heavier. You might be able to use 110 pound dumbbell if you'd want. But where this comes into play is that a lot of people, when they're first doing a dumbbell snatch, they sort of stay up top. Okay, they pull and they just keep it up top. And that would be more like a muscle dumbbell snatch, which is also beneficial. But one of the biggest benefits behind the athleticism that you learn with Olympic lifting is finishing a pull and dropping. Okay, finishing a pull, getting into that athletic catch, getting into that athletic position and absorbing force. So a lot of people overlook that concept. Now with a dumbbell snatch, you can teach your athletes at a younger age, or if you're older, right, and you're training in a Gold's Gym or a Globo Gym, wherever that might be, you're gonna pull and drop under. It's that pull and drop that really helps transfer over to that sport. So I recommend doing dumbbell snatches maybe once a week for speed, once a week for strength work, 5 to 6 sets. You do 3 to 5 reps on each side. Take a shorter break period because it is a little bit easier than a typical barbell snatch, and it's a great movement to help you replace a barbell snatch if you don't have access to a weightlifting setup. That next great exercise that you can utilize is if you have access to kettlebells, okay? And you could do this with dumbbells as well. You can do a bilateral clean with kettlebells, or you could even do a unilateral clean. So we've got to think about, this is very similar to that dumbbell snatch. Now, because we are using dumbbells or kettlebells, we aren't going to be making hip contact, but that doesn't mean we don't go through hip extension. When we're swinging a kettlebell and we want to finish tall, we want to have a nice big finish, we want those elbows to get back behind our trunk. We want to shrug that kettlebell nice and tight, flip that nice and aggressively, and absorb that force. And that's where this comes into play. Remember, we talked about having that big long finish and absorbing force, changing direction, catching in that athletic stance, in that athletic position. That's where the kettlebell cleans comes into play. And if you favor one side over the other, do your weak side first for a unilateral kettlebell clean. Okay, once you start doing some unilateral kettlebell cleans, you can really see where there might be some leaks in your structural integrity. So you can use that once a week. You can hit a unilateral kettlebell clean. At the end of the week, you can do some bilateral kettlebell cleans. It's gonna help you change direction, absorb force, and be very, very aggressive with heavy weights. Remember, there's a difference between moving moving weight fast and moving heavy weight fast. This is a quote from R.A. Roman, one of the greatest Olympic weightlifting coaches of all time. So what that means is if I'm using 80-pound kettlebells or 100-pound kettlebells, if I'm moving that heavy weight fast, that's going to transfer really, really well to other sports, because other sports, we're not just moving our body, we're also trying to move opponents very, very quickly. And so that's where that rate of coordination is going to transfer really, really well to the athletic realm. Okay, that next movement is going to be a little bit more of a complicated movement. It's a little more complicated from the perspective of overload on your joints, and we've got to be prepared, we've got to be ready for this. So this is going to be a dumbbell jump. This is pretty easy to do to a point if you're an experienced athlete, but we've got to build into it. So if you are new to dumbbell jumps, make sure that you can squat well. Make sure that you can get good squat depth. Make sure your ankles are mobile and your knees are mobile and your back is mobile. Make sure that you have good trunk control before you really dive into this. But a dumbbell jump is a fantastic way to overload your jumps. Okay, so you're going to overload your jumps, and you can even have an overload on the eccentric portion. So you're going to be jumping in place, holding dumbbells, jump for height, and as soon as you ground, you want to get to that quarter squat and jump again. Boom, boom, boom. And that repetitive movement is gonna light up your nervous system to recruit really, really rapidly. So you can use dumbbell jumps weighted. Maybe you do some heavier jumps earlier in the week, and then you rest for 2 minutes, and then you could go do bounds, or you can go do box jumps. Or you could do 2 to 3 jumps, drop the dumbbells, jump in a bound, and go right into a box, because you have that potentiation, right? So you've got a little bit of that neural potentiation. So now in essence, you're gonna be able to jump a little bit longer and absorb more energy when you ground, which is gonna help you jump higher if you're jumping up to a box. So the problem though becomes with dumbbell jumps is you've just gotta be aware, because you're overloaded and you're doing jumps, it can put stress on your knees if you're not skilled enough to handle that yet. Make sure you're prepared. Do these once or twice a week. I recommend 5 sets of 3 and really utilize it. Gradually build up the weight, but they're gonna help you improve your vertical jump. It's gonna help you absorb force and absorb energy more effectively and jump longer, which is also gonna help you stiffen up your joints, which leads to greater speed. Okay, that next great exercise, and this is a movement that's very, very challenging, and I bet most of you have never done this movement. So if you want to take something out of today's video, drop dumbbell snatch into a hip lock. You can take it today, you can go to the gym, and you can try it out. And if you want to talk about coordination, especially from a unilateral perspective, this is a movement that is very, very, very challenging. This is a movement that I love to put into athletes that tend to be in a bilateral position most of the time. I love to use this movement if I'm really trying to iron out some inefficiencies that somebody might have, where they might favor one side over the other. When you do things at higher speeds, your body is forced to recover and rapidly recruit a lot quicker, which then it can override inhibitions that it might have that it's trying to protect certain areas. So if we use a light dumbbell, say a 20-pound dumbbell, and we can drop that and we can do a dumbbell snatch, we're loading the hamstrings, we're driving the heels down, which is gonna help recruit a little bit of the glutes. We wanna pull rapidly, so we wanna really target the rapid movement from the hamstrings, and we're gonna come into that, even into a hip lock. So this is a movement that might help us with max speed, with maximal velocity, because now we're holding that hip lock position. We're gonna have the ground reaction forces directly underneath our hips, but it's also a movement that when we're dropping and we're leaning forward, we have that forward chest lean, it's gonna help us with acceleration as well. On top of that, it's gonna help us with just general coordination. Remember, we're talking about having a full, long, rapid movement. We're also talking about force absorption, right? So now we're getting that top position and we're absorbing that force into our shoulder, through our trunk, and even into our hip. And that's gonna help us if we're really, really focusing on grabbing the ground with our full foot, with our open toes. Now our body really, really adapts well and becomes more athletic because of these movements that we're doing that are replacing the Olympic lifts. These are dumbbell and kettlebell movements that now you can use because you don't have access to that Olympic weightlifting gym. So utilize these 2 to 3 days a week. Maybe you do 3 sets on each side. You'll go 3 reps on each side, and they are really, really fun to play with. And you're gonna notice that you're ironing out some of your inefficiencies. You're getting faster, you're getting more explosive, and in turn, you're becoming a better athlete. Okay, now these last 2 exercises I like to pair together for various reasons, okay? So we're gonna do a kettlebell swing, and the reason why I love kettlebell swings is because it just teaches us how to hip hinge properly. A lot of athletes tend to sort of stay upright and they just squat, right? They're not actually hinging at the hip. They're not actually recruiting their lower back and their glutes and their hamstrings together. So utilize that kettlebell swing to keep those heels down, to learn how to handle a load in a various positions, learn how to really recruit and hinge properly, because now when we're hinging properly, our lower back's gonna be a little bit healthier. Our hips are gonna be a little bit more explosive. Our proprioception is going to improve, okay? So that's really important. I love kettlebell swings for that reason, because it really forces the athlete how to hinge effectively. I'm pairing this with a split position kettlebell jerk. So we're gonna get into a split position as though we're doing jerks. And we're gonna drive up and we're gonna catch that weight overhead. Now the reason why I like to pair these together is because it reminds me of a clean and jerk. Okay, if I'm doing a clean, there's gonna be a little bit of a hip hinge action on the finish. There's gonna be a decent amount of that force absorption, obviously, when we catch the clean. And then we get into the jerk. So we can replace that. We got kettlebell swings. We do kettlebell swings for 15, 20 reps. We rest about 30 to 45 seconds. Now we can work on unilateral split position work overhead. So we can hold that kettlebell. We can drive, get into that split catch. We want to drive and drop, okay? Change our levels. That's going to transfer really well to football. That's going to transfer well to wrestling, to many sports. And we're in that split position. We're doing a contralateral movement. So if our front foot is forward and it's our right foot forward, we can do the jerks on the left hand, and we can switch. And now you can see, wow, when I do my left leg forward, I feel really strong. When I do my right leg forward, I feel a little imbalanced. So do that right leg forward first. Do the weak side first. So today, if you go to the gym and you want to try one of these movements, try the kettlebell jerk position and see which side's a little bit more in balance. And then you can utilize that to target the drop dumbbell snatches. So you can sort of use these movements all together to enhance your overall training. And these are exercises you can try today. Go to the gym, try them out, see how you feel, analyze your movement, see what's going on, and learn from these exercises so that you can become a better athlete. Now, if you need help with your programming, click on the link down below. You can head over to garagestrength.com and you can pick up a custom strength program that we can put together to help you with all of your needs in your gym and your limitations that you might have. We can design a program specifically to really enhance your overall training. If you want more content around sports performance, click on this card right here. Until next time, guys, peace.